want to talk about today is boycotts and personal divestments from big brands. So right now there's a lot of information for people online who are considering boycotting places like Target, Meta, which includes Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, and other big brand companies that have proven to us time after time, again, that they actually don't care about their consumers, whether you are black or brown, whether you are trans, whether you are non-binary, whether you are poor, which goes across all racial lines. And I decided to make this video because for me, I have been considering my footprint on the earth. And this started before the DEI rollbacks. And so much so in 2024, when I started to think about my life in 2025, I decided to essentially increase my efforts to live the life that best fits the values that I have, which are rooted in the equity of all people and the justice for all people. And so I felt personally, if I am not taking a stab at trying to not get rid of capitalism out of my life, because that is unrealistic in this society. Capitalism is what pushes American society forward, and not that I agree with it at all, but that is the reality of where I am now. Just because that is the reality though, that does not mean I cannot make concerted efforts to reduce that footprint. And so for me, I have successfully divested and boycotted brands in the past. And I wanted to share the how. I feel like for people who don't know anything, they need to know the what. And then for those who know the what, they also need to know the why. And then for those who know the what and the why, they need the how. And so if you're listening to this message or this video, you probably are saying, I know what is happening. I know why it's happening. And I know why it's important for me. But I don't really know how to do it. And that is what I want to share. Not that people will need to follow my journey, but I really just want to share the how of my journey so that if it is helpful for any person out there that's also wondering the same thing, you might be able to utilize some of my efforts or some of my strategies. If you are considering boycotting or divesting yourself and your money and your interests from big brands, the first thing that I want to tell you first is I use the word divestment. And even though I'm using the word divestment, and what it means technically is that you are some type of investor, you've put money into an organization and you are pulling that investment. And so you might say, I'm not an investor. However, for me, the reason why I use the word divestment for myself and not boycott is because I consider this a lifestyle. Boycotts in my mind are more so temporary, and many times they're organized, right? And so if we get together and we organize a boycott like many people are doing with Target, then that means there's a concerted effort for a specific amount of time to send a message. For me, this is about my lifestyle. I'm not concerned with sending a message. I'm concerned with living the life that best match my own personal values. So what that means is I'm never going back. Or if I go back, then I have chosen another value over this one, and I understand what I am doing. So I'll get into that a little bit later when I say you might choose another value over one that tells you I want to live a life that is divested from big brands. And I kind of call them competing contingencies, right? And that happens from time to time. But for me, I consider divestment a lifelong solution or until further notice. So again, I am not going back. So some brands that I have successfully boycotted in the past include Shein. I've boycotted from Nestle. I am currently successfully divested from Amazon, X, TikTok, McDonald's, and Starbucks. And up next, I plan to divest from Meta apps, which include Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp. In order for me to make these changes, I have to start with one big thing: identifying my replacement behavior. If I were to say I'm going to divest from, let's say, Target, which I am, Let's say I'm divesting from Target and that is my place to get my groceries. If I don't have another place to get my groceries, I am likely going to resort back to going to Target because I have not successfully identified the replacement. So when I'm thinking of the places that I need to boycott, I want to say, just in case the motivation comes on that I need groceries, or let's say the motivation presents where I want to be in connection with people online. And one thing to know about motivation is it is fleeting and it is temporary. And you can have the motivation to get online at any moment if you are trying to divest from Meta or Instagram. And if that comes, what are you going to do? So you want to know this ahead of time. So for me, when it came to Shein, I said I'm going to divest. The first reason that I divested from Shein, I divested successfully for 2 years. And I divested because of their environmental impact. Fast fashion, as we know, is not good for our environment. And there was a lot of information coming out about Shein's waste. And so I divested for about 2 years. And then one day, the motivation hit me to go check out Shein's website. And whether it is I need some clothes and I need them cheap and I need them pretty fast, but either way, I had a day where I decided to go check out Shein's website. And on that day, what did I stumble upon? A sustainability pledge. And just like that, Shein had me back. And I started to use Shein for about a year. And then within that year, I started to hear information about Shein and them stealing designs from Black designers, as well as child labor allegations. And so from there, I divested once again with the intention I am not going back. And that has been a personal decision of mine. With that, I got in touch with the things that I actually care about. Yes, I utilize fast fashion. The things that I have on today, which were purchased years ago, but these are through me being a consumer of fast fashion. However, how can I reduce that? I went back to thrifting. So I started to go back to my local Goodwill and see what they had there. Secondhand, a lot of my friends love to give away their clothes. So we would at times go to each other's homes and we would literally sift through piles of clothing to take with us. So clothing exchanges, you could do that in your community and in your neighborhood as well, if that makes sense. But for me, my friends and I, we were able to do that with each other. The biggest thing for me is newness. And I think that is what keeps me stuck as a consumer is there's an event coming up and I want something nice to wear and nothing in my closet is going to do. So the thing that I use is Nuuly. Nuuly is a rental service that allows for me to rent clothing for the month. And from there, I can get the fix that I am looking for when I consume fast fashion by searching in their inventory for things that match the occasion that I'm looking for. And then from there, I can purchase what I need. It gets returned and then the next person gets to use it. So I am able to walk in alignment with my desire to reduce my carbon footprint, to reduce my use of fast fashion. And I've been using Nuuly for over a year now, since I divested from Shein. So that is an example of replacement behaviors. The next thing that you want to do is have a plan. So if you have ever gone to a special occasion, or maybe you had a packed day of events or activities, maybe for your kids or for yourself, you know that you oftentimes have to think in advance on how you're going to accomplish that. And that might detail your clothing, the time that you need to get ready, the time that you need to leave your house, anticipated arrival, etc. I would suggest having a plan. When it comes to my divestment with Amazon, one of the things that kept me continuing to consume with Amazon is that I am very last minute. I am a procrastinator when it comes to getting things that I actually need. So for example, I see my lotion is running low. And instead of going to the store when I see it running low, I might wait until almost the very last minute because I know that Amazon will send me things the day of or the next day or within 2 days. So because of that, I have to have a plan. What days will I go to the store to replenish my products that I normally get from Amazon? Am I able to input this into my schedule? The answer for me is yes. But I just have to plan for it because again, it is convenience that has kept me in the cog of using things like Amazon in the past. So just to review, so far I've talked about 2 points. The first one is your replacement, and then the second one is your plan of action. So those are the things that you need to consider. Now, I just want to provide a couple of suggestions to you. If you are like, I don't really know how to support small Black businesses or Black businesses in general, if I don't go to Target, because they showcased Black talent that people could purchase very easily. And it made that easy for you because you were already going to Target, and then, woo, look, you get to support Black-owned businesses because you are shopping in Target. But as you know, Target always gets a cut of their money. So now you're considering how to go directly to the source, but you don't know how. So one, if you know the brands that you love, I would suggest writing them down, keeping them in your notes app, or I would also suggest saving them, bookmarking them to your computer. If you still don't know and brand awareness is the biggest concern for you, there are apps that you can use. So I want to shout out a couple of apps that highlight Black-owned products because that is also a value of mine. When I decided that I wanted to reduce my footprint and also support brands that support my community, it required for me to say what I also care about. So that's actually your third point. And it really should be the first, is to get in touch with what you actually care about. What do you want for your life? How do you see your life? If you say that I am a supporter of these causes, how then do your everyday steps align with your values? And for me, I want to continue to put my dollar into Black-owned businesses because that is important for me. And I also know that is important for my community. Additionally to that, I want to continue to support local minority-owned businesses because that is important to me. And so if you're looking for places that you can go support Black-owned businesses, I want to give you those suggestions, and then we'll move to local. So the first app that I want to highlight, or the first resource I want to highlight, is called Nile. You can look that up, and all of these, I'm just going to tell you the names and you can look them up yourself if you plan to use them. The next one I want to highlight is Shop the Hood. Addie Raw is a website where she has organized Black-owned businesses by types and services. Eat Okra is another app. If you are wanting to prioritize Black-owned restaurants in the service industry, you can utilize the Eat Okra app and then the official Black Wall Street app. So there are many options. I've only given you a few. There are other Black people who have spent their time tirelessly through the years compiling Black-owned businesses and services. Do a Google search. You do not need to rely on brands like Target to get access to our community because, again, there are Black people who have already started this work. If you want to support shopping local, I will tell you, one of the things for me, again, is convenience. So I may not get to the grocery store every week. I have not become the person that actually goes to a store every single week. I am busy and I have just not prioritized it. So one thing for me is determining how your values also align with your lifestyle. And if you have to make any concessions. So one concession I am about to talk about is Instacart. Instacart is a larger brand and I have not fully divested from Instacart yet. One way that I am utilizing Instacart that is still in alignment with my values is toggling to the local option. And from there, when you toggle to the local option, it shows you all the stores that are local to you. And that helps me because I am still feeding into my desire to support this local business, but also getting the convenience of getting my groceries delivered. So I would suggest utilizing Instacart if they are not on your list of divested companies, and toggling to the local option. The second one I would say is check local flea markets. I don't know if your community still offers flea markets, but that is also a good option for you to buy directly from people in your community. I mentioned secondhand and clothes swapping with friends. Those are other options for you to keep your footprint down. But also, if you have friends, of course, I would suggest supporting their businesses. A lot of us know friends who gift services or give services, or they also make items. Support your local community by also supporting your friends. When it comes to divesting Amazon, that is a big one. And I've mentioned already that I needed to have a plan in order to divest from Amazon. In order for me to replace Amazon, I need to know who can replace them? What are some other brands that also essentially utilize the warehouse method or inventory method? And I'm not a business person, so my terminology might be wrong. But where are other places that will have a lot of brands inside of it that still allow me to divest from Amazon? So for me, a smaller brand that is deemed okay in terms of political donations is Ollie's. I have an Ollie right down the street from my house. So when I get out to the store, I can still go there and look at all the different brands that I normally would purchase from Amazon. Now, it's not clothing, of course, but again, these are other things. I might look at furniture on Amazon. Ollie's has furniture. I might look at games for people to play if they come to my house. Ollie's has games. So you want to look for local stores like that in your community. The last thing I want to talk about is Meta, Instagram, and WhatsApp. These are very difficult apps to divest from, and I understand it. If you are like me, you've been on social media since you were in high school. If you're a millennial, we've been on social media since we were in high school. And the thought of disengaging from these larger apps where most people that you know or did know are on can feel daunting. And for me, I probably will lose contact with a lot of people, but I've already made the changes or started to make the changes to divest from these apps. So the first thing, again, that I did was consider what I cared about, obviously. Once I did that, I made the decision that I would leave. And that was going to be with the risk involved. So again, the risk of disconnection with people that you may have known 20 years ago that you wouldn't talk to otherwise. The good thing about this is I disconnected from social media for about 9 months or 10 months previously. And that allowed me to remember that people that I was connected with 20 years ago that I'm not connected with now, I likely don't need to prioritize those relationships in my life or in my mind when it comes to why I should keep an app. I have not been connected with them. And if I so truly care about connecting with them, then I can make an effort by reaching out to these people directly, saying, what's your number, or finding alternative methods. So one, being realistic with myself about these connections that we make up in our mind. After that, though, I consider what are my replacement behaviors should I momentarily want to get back on social media. And for me, those alternatives are Blue Sky, Black Planet, and Fanbase. I tested out all three of those apps. I'm still testing them out. One thing I will tell you about Fanbase, it allows you to migrate all of your videos that are under 2 minutes from TikTok. So if you're worried about losing your videos, you don't have to worry about that. You can literally take your data from TikTok to Fanbase as long as it's under 2 minutes. When it comes to Blue Sky, I look at it kind of like Twitter. It looks like a feed that you write into. You have 200 characters and it gets uploaded in that way. I have been off X for years. I took my data off. I deleted my account. So I am not at the moment too concerned with going to Blue Sky. However, because I used to love Twitter, I might actually make a comeback. We shall see. But that is the alternative that I identified. Someone else told me about Black Planet, and I do remember when there was talk about Solange purchasing Black Planet, and at that time I did make an account. I forgot all about this, and then I just recently made a new account. So it looks like a feed as well. It kind of gives Twitter vibes. I am not sure, again, because I had not utilized Twitter in such a long time, I'm not sure that I'm going to be using Black Planet either. I think Fanbase might be what I use for a while, but we shall see. I'm also really not sure that I care about being on social media. With the changes that happened in social media in COVID, I started to grow really tired of being on social media. So even though I've identified these alternatives, that's for myself when I have moments of weakness. But for the most part, I really don't know if I'll be utilizing social media moving forward or as often. I will say that I probably will use it, but I just don't imagine me using it as often. If I do, mark my word that is okay, and I'll let that be okay. My concern is utilizing apps that I feel more aligned with my values than me not using social media at all. And then lastly, with WhatsApp, I've been using WhatsApp for I don't know how many years. When Meta purchased WhatsApp, I remember feeling just icky about that, but I continue to use it. And then we started to hear data concerns, and then I started to feel icky about that as well, but I stayed on the app. And now I am leaving the app. My transition date is at the end of this weekend. February 1st is coming up on Saturday, and February 2nd is the last day that I will be on WhatsApp. I've already downloaded an app called Signal. I have reached out to people that I talked to on that app and said, hey, I would love to stay in connection with you, but I am leaving this app as of this date. I will be moving over to Signal. I do hope that I can talk to you on that app one of these days. In the meantime, much love to you. And that is it. And so my goal is to get my data downloaded. I cannot stress this enough. Download your data. Download your data. Download your data. And if you have the ability to turn off or to not give access to your data, do that as well, which I don't believe that exists for anything for Meta. But if you are planning to divest from Google, then you can tell them not to take certain data from you. The last thing I'll also say, if you've been on Facebook since you were in high school like me, you might have pictures there that you don't have anymore because it was on an old cell phone or an old camera and it's gone. So I would suggest going to get a hard drive, an external hard drive, and backing up your pictures before deleting the app and downloading your data. While it says when you download your data, you're going to get everything, you just don't really know what you could be missing. So if you're like me, you want to be proactive, download what you need yourself and then download your data. So I think that's it. I hope this was helpful for people who are considering boycotting and or divesting to consider what your lifestyle might look like. I really think it's important for you to have a picture of what you want your life to be. If you want to really downgrade your life in a bit, this could also help. But again, the main steps, just to cover them one more time, is 1, know what you care about and what you value. Really envision your life. What does that look like? And what would it require of you? The second thing, identify your replacement behaviors or your replacement stores. Where will you go to if you stop utilizing the other places? The third thing, after you do that, set a plan. Set a plan and put that plan in motion. And then the last thing I'll say too, I know I gave you some other tidbits in the middle, but make sure that you are coming into contact with those moments that you're like, wow, I really did it. You want to be able to reinforce that behavior because that is what is also going to keep you consistent, and it's going to give you the confidence and the boost that you need to continue to divest from other places, other brands. If you know that you have successfully divested from Starbucks and that was a big deal to you at one point in time, then you absolutely know that you now have the tool set and the wherewithal to divest from bigger brands that at some point seemed unrealistic for you. So give yourself those confidence boost, and also get in touch with yourself as you are making these changes. Really reinforce the behavior so that you can continue it moving forward. Well, that is all for today. Thank you for listening. And if I didn't say it before, thank you so much for being part of this video. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I will be making other videos as I feel like this is going to be my form of release in some type of way. So if you are curious about my journey, I am Whole Black Woman. I am a counselor as well as a behavior scientist, and I really care about whole living. So if you are a Black woman specifically, stay tuned. But if you are just a person that's also interested in whole living, I have something here for everyone, but my focus has always been and will be on Black individuals, marginalized individuals. So if that is you, also make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you here later. Peace.